Hi, my name is Sue Charman Anderson, and I've been learning Welsh for a really long time. Up until about 5 years ago, though, my Welsh learning was really haphazard. I'd do it when I thought about it. Sometimes I'd go for months or even years without touching it. And then 5 years ago, I read a book that completely transformed how I think about learning Welsh. In the last 5 years, my grammar, my vocab, my oral comprehension, my speaking, my reading, everything has improved enormously. And it is all down to one book. And that book is Atomic Habits by James Clear. Now, in his book, Clear lays out what he calls the 4 laws of behavior change. The first one is make it obvious, then make it attractive. The third law is make it easy and then make it satisfying. So what I'm going to do in this short video is just run you through how I applied these laws to my learning, and hopefully you'll get some ideas to help you with your learning too. So make it obvious is the first law of behavior change. And James Clear recommends that you make a plan. So you say what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and where you're going to do it. So for me, this was I'm going to do something in Welsh at bedtime in bed. And that made it really easy because I was also tapping into what he calls habit stacking, when you tack a new habit onto an existing habit. So getting ready for bed is a habit, I do it every night. Going to sleep is a habit, I do it every night. Slotting Welsh in between was really easy. It's a time of day when I'm quite relaxed, I'm not really thinking about too much, so doing a little bit of Welsh was piece of cake. Didn't have to think about it at all, which is the point. The decision is made for me. I don't have to think about, am I going to learn Welsh today? Am I not going to learn Welsh today? I just do it because it's a habit. Another thing that I did to make it obvious was I gathered all of my Welsh books together and put them on a bookshelf in my home office. So that meant that I saw them every day. And if I wanted a new book, if I wanted to do something different, then I knew exactly where all of my books were and I could just go and pick one out. It also served to remind me every day that I had made this commitment to my Welsh, because they were there right in front of me. The second law is make it attractive. So I did not start with grammar. I started actually with a collection of novellas for learners that I just kind of had sitting around and honestly had never really looked at. Most of these novellas, they've got the key vocab on each page or at the end of the chapter. And my Welsh was already at a position where I could kind of work my way through without too much need to look at a dictionary or an online translator. So that actually made it really attractive because it isn't then about learning the Welsh, it's about reading a story and finding out what happens. And I love reading in English, I love reading in Welsh, and it was a really good motivator for me. Now, although I said I didn't start with grammar, we do at some point have to attack the grammar and we have to learn how the language works. We can save that until the habit is embedded. So for me, it's just more important to think about what will you enjoy doing? You know, whether that's reading, listening to music, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It matters that you have fun while you're doing it. The third rule is make it easy. So James Clear recommends that when you start out, your new habit takes no more than 2 minutes per day, because we can all find 2 minutes per day. Now that might sound ridiculous. It might sound like, well, that's not enough. How am I ever going to learn anything in 2 minutes? But actually, because it's 2 minutes, you will actually do it instead of thinking, oh, I'll wait until the weekend when I've got more time. Now, you can fit 2 minutes in any day. And as it happens with language learning, little and often is better than one binge session on the weekend. So 2 minutes a day is a really good place to start. If I was having a bad day, one word was enough, because my habit was do something in Welsh every day. It wasn't learn Welsh, because learn Welsh is, What is learning? How do you know when you've learned something? Do something in Welsh is just an easier habit to stick to. So, yeah, some days I would say diolch, and that would be it for the day. And that was fine because it meant that I kept my habit up even if I'd had a bad day. The other thing about keeping the habit short is the easier a habit is to do, or easier a behavior is to do, the more likely you are to do it. And it's repetition that counts in the early days. It's not what you do, it's how frequently you do it. So a new habit, as Claire says, should not feel like a challenge. It should feel easy. So pick the easiest thing you can think of and start with that. The fourth rule, make it satisfying. Now, what is satisfying to you might be different to what is satisfying to me. So one of the things that I did was I got a habit tracker. I got an app called Streaks, and I crossed it off every day. Yes, I've done my Welsh. And then you get into this whole don't break the chain. You know, you've got to keep going. You've got to keep racking up your streak. Um, and where this can be a problem in some environments where the behavior that you are reinforcing is not actually a helpful behavior. When you have a good habit going, this is how you keep it going. So remember, I said I was just really gutted when I forgot just one random day in April a few years ago, and I was just, oh my god, I've broken the chain, and it felt bad. So keeping track of your habit and your streaks will help motivate you now, but also in the future, because the longer you go, the more important it is to keep your streak whole. The other thing that you can do is give yourself a loyalty card. So actually, some friends and I have a loyalty card for saying no, because they often get asked to do extra work on top of their job. They're often overcommitted. So saying no can be difficult. So we encourage each other when it's appropriate to say no. And when we've said 10 no's, we get an ice cream. Um, there's no reason you can't create a loyalty card for yourself. After 10 lessons, maybe it's an ice cream, maybe you put a fiver in your savings. It can be anything that is meaningful to you. But that also just gives you a little bit of a reward to say, okay, yes, this is coming. Any reward directly after the activity will help. With the loyalty card, the immediate reward is tick in the box. Then there's another sort of midterm reward, which is ice cream. And then your long-term reward is, oh, I've learnt loads of Welsh. So thinking about what would reward you in the moment, because ultimately learning a language does take a really long time. So we're not going to necessarily see our milestones racking up like you might with, some other habit. So we need to make sure that we are keeping ourselves going in the short term as well. The thing about habits and language learning is that the habit is the foundation for the language learning. You can learn languages on and off if you want to. I mean, I literally did for years. My Welsh learning was, oh, I've got a bit of time, I'll do a course or I'll buy a new book. But then a few months later, it would just disappear into the background again. So it's like kind of you've got to have that foundation of the habit. And then on top of that, you can start to build out your learning behaviors. So you can go from the thing that makes you happy into slightly deeper learning activities. And then you can just keep on going. And before you know it, 5.2 years will have gone past. And Welsh will just be a part of your life. And isn't that what we all want? So if you're struggling a little bit with your Welsh learning, get a copy of Atomic Habits by James Clear. Give it a read. There is so much good stuff in there. And hopefully it will help you as much as it helped me.